What if everything you've been taught about strength is making you weaker? What if every complaint, every explanation, every desperate attempt to prove yourself is evidence that you've already lost the battle? Most people believe power is loud. They think confidence speaks, that greatness announces itself, that successful people need everyone to know who they are. Musashi believed the opposite. He believed that every unnecessary word was a leak, every emotional reaction a weakness, every impulse a doorway through which your enemies could enter. Pause for a moment. Think about your last difficult conversation. Did you remain silent, or did you rush to defend yourself? Did you explain your intentions? Did you justify your decisions? Did you try to convince someone who had already decided not to understand you? If you did, you gave away your power, because the first warrior defeated in any battle is the one who cannot control his own emotions. Most people don't lose because they lack intelligence. They lose because they react. Someone insults them, they explode. Someone doubts them, they start proving themselves. Someone ignores them, they become desperate for attention. Notice something. Every reaction is a surrender. The world has learned exactly how to control modern people. Not with chains, not with weapons, with emotions. A single comment on social media can destroy someone's entire day. One rejection, one criticism, one comparison, and suddenly a person's peace belongs to someone else. Musashi would call this slavery. Because if another human being can control your emotions, they already own your mind. But here is the uncomfortable truth. Most people don't want freedom. They want validation. Validation from strangers, validation from family, validation from colleagues, validation from people they secretly dislike. And that hunger makes them predictable. Predictable people are easy to manipulate, easy to provoke, easy to defeat. Musashi never wasted energy trying to look powerful. He simply became powerful. There is a difference. One is performance, the other is reality. Ask yourself honestly, when was the last time you stayed completely calm while someone expected you to react? When was the last time your silence became stronger than your words? Could you do it? Or does your ego always demand the final sentence? Because silence terrifies those who survive by controlling others. The strongest warrior in any room is often the quietest one. Not because he has nothing to say, but because he has nothing to prove. And perhaps that is exactly what frightens people the most. Musashi once wrote something that most people read, but very few understand. Today is victory over yourself of yesterday, not victory over your rival, not victory over your enemies, not victory over the world, yourself. That single idea destroys almost everything modern society teaches about success. From childhood, you are trained to compare. Better grades, better salary, better body, better car, better life. You spend years trying to outrun people who were never your true opponents. And while your eyes remain fixed on everyone else, your greatest enemy quietly grows stronger. The version of you that chooses comfort instead of discipline. The voice that whispers, "Tomorrow will be easier." You deserve a break. One more excuse won't matter. That is the enemy Musashi feared. Because no sword can defeat a man who has already surrendered to himself. Pause for a second. How many promises have you made to yourself, only to break them? How many mornings did you promise to wake up earlier, to train, to study, to build something meaningful, to become someone different? And how many times did you negotiate with your own weakness? No one witnessed those moments. No applause, no criticism, only you. That is where character is built. Not in public, not when people are watching, but in complete silence. Musashi understood a truth that remains painfully relevant today. Every habit is a weapon. Every routine either sharpens your blade or rusts it. Every decision is training, even the smallest ones. The way you speak, the way you eat, the way you react to failure, the way you respond to success, the people you allow into your life. Nothing is neutral. Everything is shaping the warrior you are becoming. Now ask yourself something uncomfortable. If your daily routine became your destiny, would you admire the person waiting for you 10 years from now? Or would you regret every compromise you accepted because it felt easier? Most people wait for motivation. Musashi never trusted motivation because motivation is emotional, and emotions change with the weather. Discipline doesn't ask how you feel, it simply moves. That is why ordinary people begin many things and finish almost none. They depend on inspiration. The warrior depends on commitment. There is another lesson hidden beneath Musashi's philosophy, perhaps the most difficult one of all. The strongest person in the room is not the one who attacks first. It is the one who chooses exactly when, or whether, to attack at all. Modern life rewards instant reactions, instant opinions, instant anger, instant outrage. Everyone wants you to respond immediately. Musashi would advise the opposite. Slow down, observe, study. Let others reveal themselves while you remain unreadable. Silence is not passivity. Silence is strategy. A river never argues with the rocks blocking its path. It simply continues flowing until the rocks no longer matter. Can you do the same? Can you resist the urge to explain yourself, to defend your pride, to win every meaningless argument? Or does your ego still believe that every challenge deserves your attention? Because here is the paradox. The warrior who fights every battle never has enough strength for the battle that truly matters. The disciplined mind knows something the emotional mind never learns. Your energy is your most valuable weapon. Spend it carelessly, and even small problems become overwhelming. Guard it wisely, and obstacles begin to shrink. Maybe that is why Musashi often appeared impossible to defeat, not because he possessed extraordinary strength, but because he refused to waste it. Every movement had purpose. Every decision carried intention. Every silence had meaning. And perhaps the same cannot yet be said about your life. There is one final lesson Musashi leaves behind. It has nothing to do with swords, or duels, or war. It is the lesson that separates those who merely survive from those whose very presence transforms every room they enter. Because the greatest warrior is not remembered for the battles he won. He is remembered for the person he became. And that is where our final chapter begins. Musashi did not become history's greatest swordsman because he mastered the sword. He became legendary because he mastered something far more dangerous: himself. And that is where the real battle begins. There is a reason why the greatest warriors in history are remembered long after their battles have been forgotten. It was never because they carried sharper swords, or because they defeated more enemies. History remembers them because they conquered something far more difficult: themselves. Musashi understood a truth that most people spend an entire lifetime avoiding. The world is not waiting to discover your potential. It is responding to your habits, not your intentions, not your dreams, not the version of yourself that exists only in your imagination. Only the person you repeatedly choose to become. So let me ask you one final question. Who are you when no one is watching? Not when you're posting your victories. Not when you're surrounded by people who admire you. Not when life is easy. Who are you on the mornings when your alarm rings and every part of your body begs you to stay in bed? Who are you after rejection, after failure, after humiliation, after the plans you've spent years building suddenly collapse? Because that version of you is the only one that truly matters. The world doesn't reveal your character during comfort. It reveals it during chaos. Anyone can appear disciplined when life is rewarding them. Anyone can seem confident when everything is working. The true warrior is revealed when nothing goes according to plan, and he keeps walking anyway. That is the difference between confidence and conviction. Confidence depends on results. Conviction depends on principles. Musashi never waited for perfect conditions. He adapted, he observed, he learned, he evolved. The oak tree that refuses to bend breaks in the storm. The bamboo survives because it understands something pride never will. Strength without flexibility becomes fragility. Ask yourself, how much of your suffering comes from reality, and how much comes from your refusal to adapt? How many battles are you fighting simply because your ego refuses to let go? How many sleepless nights? How much anxiety? How much anger could disappear if you stopped trying to control what was never yours to control? The silent warrior understands a forgotten law. You don't have to attend every battle you are invited to. Not every criticism deserves an answer. Not every insult deserves your attention. Not every opportunity deserves your time. Your life is measured not only by what you choose to pursue, but also by what you refuse to carry. Perhaps that is why truly dangerous people often appear ordinary. They don't waste energy proving their value. They build it, quietly, relentlessly, day after day. While others seek applause, they seek mastery. While others chase recognition, they chase excellence. And excellence doesn't need permission to exist. So imagine your life 1 year from now. Not if you become more motivated, not if life becomes easier, but if, starting today, you spoke less, complained less, reacted less, observed more, learned more, disciplined yourself more. Would your relationships change? Would your career change? Would your mind become calmer? Or perhaps, would you finally meet the person you've been capable of becoming all along? Musashi left no formula for happiness. He left something far more valuable, a way of living, a path where discipline becomes freedom, where silence becomes strength, where self-mastery becomes peace. The sword was never his greatest weapon. His mind was, and yours can become the same. But only if you stop waiting for the perfect moment. The path does not begin tomorrow. It begins with the next decision you make after this video ends. So here's my question for you. What is the one habit you know you must defeat before it defeats you? Write your answer in the comments. Not for me, for yourself. Because the first promise spoken aloud is harder to betray. If this message challenged the way you see yourself, subscribe to the Silent Order, because this is only one chapter in a much greater journey. In our next episode, we'll explore the wisdom of Sun Tzu, the strategist who taught that the greatest victory is the one achieved before the battle even begins. Until then, walk quietly, think deeply, master yourself, because the world can only defeat the man who has not yet conquered his own mind.